Hello.
And that was a bit of Hank Marvin, and this is not Hank Marvin. This is Bob from the Bob Ramon Show.
And this is Ramon from the Ramon and Bob Show.
And we're really happy to be here, aren't we?
We are on this quite nice sunny October day. It's going to be it's going to be I think an October heat record tomorrow for us in Blighty, which is great.
Yes, yeah. And the reason we're playing Hank Marvin, why are we playing Hank Marvin?
I've no idea.
Really?
No.
Not at all. Not even like.
Well, we are playing right old Stratocasters.
Yeah.
Okay, so that might be a clue.
And the age of the Strats. I mean, when was Hank Marvin and the Shadows around in England? What year?
It was kind of late 50s through very early 60s, wasn't it? Their heyday, when they absolutely dominated. Cliff Richard, and the Shadows as his backing band, and his backing band as a standalone chart-topping instrumental entity.
Yes.
I mean, they dominated the charts for about 2 or 3 years.
And so his guitars, he went from the Burns guitar, didn't he?
That's right.
And then I heard that Cliff Richard, who was a kind of for our American friends, Cliff Richard was the English Elvis, wasn't he?
English pop idol, very much style on the Elvis look, but a bit cleaner.
Cleaner, more wholesome.
Elvis had an edge to him.
Yes.
Yeah. Cliff was very clean.
He's very, and still is.
Still is.
Still is, you know. And the thing about Cliff Richard, though, he bought Hank Marvin his first Stratocaster.
He did.
And what I want to say as well, I think it was the first Stratocaster in England.
It was.
Was it the first Strat?
It was certainly the first Stratocaster imported to England. There might have been some,
because there was an embargo, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was an embargo, but the reason that a lot of these guitars got over here was because American servicemen who could buy them freely in their own country for good dollars, they would travel with them, and so you'd find some ending up in Britain, particularly up the east coast where the Air Force bases were,
Essex,
and Germany. Belgium, Holland. You found a few of those old Strats getting over there. But in terms of legal importation, that was an embargo that meant it was impossible to import American guitars at that point, which is why stuff like Hofner's, Burns were what all the British groups, and also the European guitars like Goya's and all that stuff, right?
Eastern European.
And then suddenly, about kind of 61, 62, the embargo was reduced and lifted. The embargo was something, I don't know exactly what, to do with reparations between America that bankrolled England in the Second World War, and the national debt and all that shit. And anyway, which we're actually
back in.
Which
we're back there.
Don't mention the war. That Stratocaster was widely reputed to be the first one properly and legitimately imported by Selmer for Cliff Richard to give to the lead guitarist in his backing band. Also a success in their own right, the Shadow. Once importation was legitimate again, they were imported in those days by Selmer.
That's right.
Before it went over to Dallas Arbiter, Selmer. And Selmer brought them in, and they were obviously bringing in mostly sunburst Strats, because that's what they were. And everybody in Britain went, I want one like Hank's.
So they would spray them.
Selmer would respray them locally.
Yeah, right.
So there's a load of local resprays. And of course, now that, 50 years later, 60 years later, and now there's a bloody collector's market for these things, and everyone obsesses over the finer details, which we might do in a minute.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden people are going, hang on, this isn't a real, kosher finish, or is it?
Or is it a Selmer respray?
Is it a Selmer respray?
Which would make it worth more?
Well,
would it?
I would say probably.
Yeah.
The problem is, I would say an attributable Selmer respray is probably as legit as a Fender, because it's a new Stratocaster in 1961, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the problem you've got is that if you're trading these things, everybody buying wants to talk them down. Everyone who wants to sell them is talking them up. So the people who are buying them down and go, oh no, Selmer refinish, no, not as valuable as a California, no.
Right.
And ultimately the price is is whatever the buyer and seller could reach agreement on or not.
Yeah. So let's talk about these. What's interesting about this comparison today? We're not really doing a comparison, are we, Bob?
No, but we happen to have two 1962 Stratocasters in the room,
which are slightly different.
Yeah,
they're different enough, and what this proves is that Fender were making, alterations. That they had different sized necks, and then the transitional period between this one here, which is essentially a 62.
I keep saying this, and by now regular viewers will go, just take the bloody thing apart, Bob, and give us an answer. But the neck and the body are November 61 and February 62, respectively. But I've forgotten which way round because I haven't had it apart for so long. Okay.
And so, what are the dates on these?
Right. And the serial number on this one is 77,000 and something. The serial number on this one is 83 or 88. Have a quick look on the back plate.
83.
83. So they're only 6,000 apart, which puts them quite close. But this is definitely a turn of year 61, 62 Strat, and this is late enough in 62 to have a veneered fingerboard rather than a slab fingerboard. Okay, which would put it kind of in the second half of the year. So later 62. Okay, unusual finish, black with tortoiseshell, but there are quite a lot of questions about this guitar. I mean, I've had this guitar of mine since 1974.
I mean, Bob was actually wearing platform boots when he bought this guitar.
Platform boots and of course shorts, because I was only, anyway, enough of that. Okay. But anyway, so I've had this guitar a long time. I've had this guitar since before faffing around with guitars for bogus profit was worth it, right? And it cost me very little indeed. This guitar is worth a fortune now because of the colour and the condition, and everybody who plays it says.
And because you've played it.
And because I've played it on these videos, but mainly every Strat player I know plays this guitar. The game is, you leave my house, let's play a game. Supposing you can walk out one of my guitars, which one do you want to take? 9 out of 10 of my guests would take this guitar. Over the Burst, over the 335, over the Juniors, etc.
I'd take the Gretsch myself.
Well, interesting, because it's got a life of its own. That's a beautiful guitar, but most players want this, right? So this one I'm quite confident about. I know what's wrong with it. I know I've put a 5-way switch in it. I know I've had the saddles re-chromed, and I know I had it refretted a long time ago.
So it's kind of like almost a one owner, but we don't know what's happened between 61 and 74, but that's only like 12 years.
Yeah, but whoever had it, they played it hard, especially down the bottom. There's lots of finger wear, and when I got it, the guitar was filthy. Lots of wear around the bottom. So some guy was probably comping cowboy or jazz chords in a band on this guitar for years. It was worn, really worn, right? This guitar belongs to a friend of mine, and we've just had to have one of the pickups rewound because it went over the circuit.
The bridge
pickup. So shout out here to Stuart Robson of Sunbear Pickups, who very kindly did the rewind. He's
becoming my favourite pickup winder in the UK.
Well, given that you've only played this and my Firebird pickup.
Yeah, I really like.
I was with him earlier today, and I saw a P90 style pickup. You can get P90s in humbucker shapes now, right? So it's like a humbucker but with a row across the centre. But it hasn't got screws, it's got slugs like in a Stratocaster pickup that aren't beveled. Now, this is a prototype pickup of his. It was in a kind of Les Paul made by a really great English manufacturer, well, not manufacturer, a luthier, skilled craftsman called John Case. And this P90 in a humbucker with these exposed slugs, wow. I haven't got a guitar to put that pickup in, but I really want that pickup. It sounded beautiful.
So back to these two guitars, Bob. One thing, this is a really interesting thing. The necks, although they're different shape, they're actually, you can see that they're from the same factory. This is the first thing I noticed, just because of the way they've aged.
Yeah.
And you know, another really interesting thing is this veneer is very thin, and a lot of people that copy veneer guitars always get this wrong. They always get quite thick.
Yeah.
So it's quite thick. Here it's very, very thin.
Well, it depends. It depends, of course, on whether the veneer has a flat bottom, like this one, a slab board.
A slab board.
In which case it's going to be thicker. And
it's thicker. Or I'm talking, the veneers in particular, though, where they're actually thicker in the centre and thinner here.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of, I'm not saying Fender Custom Shop do this, but I think Fender Custom Shop, they tend to do it thicker.
Yeah.
So it's not thin, and you can see photos of Stevie Ray Vaughan's veneer Strat. It's got quite a beefy neck, but even that's got a very thin veneer on the edge. And I think that's what a lot of people that are trying to copy get wrong.
One thing, remember, we are talking 50, 60 years between manufacture of these instruments now. Mm-hmm. When I had this refretted, right, the British luthier Bill Paplett, who's the best this side of the pond, no doubt, he said, I want to just shoot the neck very, very slightly. I want to just scrape off the very top.
That's where I differ with that. Mm? I never let a luthier play my neck.
First of all, he's done lots of work for me, and his work is beyond top class.
He's the number one.
He knows more about the damn guitar than I do.
Yeah.
And he said, it's just so dirty, I just want to take the dirt layer off. So he did, and he revealed this fabulous skunk stripe in the Brazilian rosewood, right? Mm. And really, we both got very excited about it, but that means that this is infinitesimally thinner than it would have been above.
So one thing is, because a lot of...
and that's been refretted, and that will be too.
Right, so a lot of luthiers, because what happens is when you play guitar a lot, one guitar, you'll start to put divots, which are little holes, and so instantly a luthier will say, right, let's get rid of those divots. Well, just me personally, I don't allow any planing on my neck, so if you want to refret my neck, refret it, but do not touch it with a plane.
And another good example of that, if you go back to the 50s, right, so maple-necked Stratocasters and Telecasters, they all divot, okay, and of course those guitars are they're more difficult to play in as well, and you wouldn't want to.
Okay, so the great thing about the Bob Ramon Show is we don't always agree, Bob and I, do we?
We certainly don't.
Sometimes, he likes... sometimes when I bring him a hot water bottle when he's lying down and
with my smoking jacket and my cognac.
Exactly. He says, I want two, not one. So we have disagreements.
It's getting a bit intimate, this, isn't it?
We have disagreements, but suffice to say, I don't know how you feel about this, Bob, but I dread the thought of somebody planing my fingerboard down.
I tell you what, I'm completely with you. If it wasn't somebody who was so more a trusted pair of hands than my own, if it wasn't somebody like that, forget it. Forget it. Especially on an old piece of gear. Your instinct is right. You have to trust somebody a lot. So, well, the other thing is, modern guitar, cheapish workman-like guitar, take a risk. Piece of old, valuable stuff that you've got some emotion and some skin in.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. It's just that,
But as they say, measure twice and cut once,
I'm not sure what you're referring to, but let's move swiftly on. One thing though is this does reveal, and I'll try and get this a close up. This has a beautiful kind of like a stripe down the rosewood,
which was revealed under the years of gunk.
Yes, and this one here. So let's just play a little bit of blues, and let's play a minor blues in C, my friend. And hopefully we can reveal some tones of these beautiful.
Okay, so I'll give you that.
So yeah, they've both got a great voice, and especially when you the thing I noticed about 60s, I don't know if this is something you agree with me on, my good friend,
is that they were a long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah, no. It's the bridge pickups always sound really cool. Whereas when you get a modern guitar, it's spiky and harsh.
I mean, this you know, when I was soloing for the second half of that bit that I played there, that was on the bridge pickup. And that was snarky, but okay. But the neck pickups on these things, I just love them. I love the neck pickups on Telecasters too. Love them.
Yeah, I know you do.
Spend most of my time on the neck pickup.
Let's get off the subject of Telecasters because he gets very emotional, and we just don't need that.
I do get emotional. I get emotional frustrated. Listen, while we're here, we should say that we're playing these through Ramon's 2 Projector Sound amps. Okay, now he's playing through a Projector Sound amp that has 6L6s in the power stage.
6V6.
6V6s. And I'm playing through his one which has got EL84s. Now I don't usually play EL84 amps, I'm a bit thin on those. I've got lots of 6L and 6V6 amps, right? I have to say, they make this Strat, which sounds nice on a good day, they give it a, it's
the best I've ever heard.
They give it a sparkle, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of actually going and shelling out a pair of those Yellow Jackets things, which are converters. So you can convert some of your amps to EL84.
Because you've got the Lazy J, haven't you?
Well, I've got various different amps that I could kind of plug. I know it's not going to be like plugging into a Trainwreck Express or a Marshall or something. But it'll be a start. And I think for a small outlay, I might do that.
Yeah, it's worth it.
These tubes sound fantastic on this guitar.
Yeah, I always think that EL84s are really great with Strats for clean sounds, because I think Mark Knopfler, he went to, because he was playing Comet amps for a while.
Was he?
Which were Trainwreck copies, and they had EL84s in. And I think that a lot of the British, WEM amps and Watkins always had EL84s. Obviously
my good friend Alan's got a Trainwreck clone made by Marcus Cliff.
Great guy, Marcus, who we had on the channel.
Great guy, shout out to Marcus. And that amp has got EL84s in it. And that's different completely, because that's an amp that you play on overdrive.
Right.
And it's a hysterical amp. It's an amp that actually it's kind of having its own bar fight while you're just holding the guitar. My God, it's an exciting amp to play.
But here's the deal. So with a Strat, they're different, very different from Les Pauls, and they're different from Tellys. They've got their own kind of world. It's a world unto itself, and I think
the one thing I find is that we're playing these Strats straight into amps, and they sound fine. But if I was playing the Strat more seriously, I would always have a booster of some kind on my pedal board with the Strat. They're just a bit weak. And they need a little help, a clean boost, just a little nudge.
So if you grab my Stratocaster,
that's that one.
Yeah. So this is the problem. This is why I don't generally play Strats live.
It's quite heavy, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Because when I play this thing here with this big pickup, the Valco pickup, which is it's not really that they go from 6 or 7K. Now I don't know how many Henrys, but basically this thing here, you can't go to a Strat after this without some kind of a boost,
right?
Because this is just too powerful.
Yeah.
So you really need to go with.
Well, it's like coming off the back. I'm sorry to use the Telecaster word again, but coming off a Tele bridge pickup.
Yeah.
They're pretty hot things.
They are. Yeah.
Coming off them back onto a Strat, and boy, you need a blip. So to have a booster on your board, could be just a drive set to clean boost. It could be a clean booster. It could be inside your Boss multi effects, whatever. But just for Strats, a little help.
Yeah, or even a Texas flop pedal.
Yeah, indeed.
Or, a red snapper.
The legendary
Texas
flop pedal.
Yeah. You have one.
Well,
you have one. Do you have one?
Technically, I have one.
So let's just talk about what are we, apart from this veneer neck? Is there any other differences, Bob? In terms of the original.
I think a number of things have been done to this guitar. So it's kind of. The chassis is original, there's no doubt, but a few things have been reshaped. Quite a lot of the components have been replaced. We know that the bridge pickup, which went open circuit, has been rewound because that was done last week. So we know that. The saddles are Callahan's, so there's a whole load of bits and pieces on it that are. It sounds similar to this.
Yeah, and the neck, like I said, the neck has got exactly the same feel to it.
So it's old wood, definitely.
So, what's your opinion? Is people looking for, maybe a Strat that's in not so good. I'm not saying that this is the one, but a Strat that's not in so good condition.
Yeah.
What's your view on buying that as opposed to, maybe trying to find one that's in more regular mint condition?
Well, the answer just depends on why you're buying it. Okay, if you're buying it as an investment, right, then you should buy the best and most authentic piece you possibly can, because that's what the investment market values and relates to, and you're going to pay dearly for it, but you will get good coin back on it later. That's if you're talking about it as an investment. Okay. The problem is so many of these guitars have risen in value to the point where even if you don't want them to be investments, they are.
Yeah.
But if you're buying the guitar to play, then and to get that sound, then you go in search for a completely different thing. You don't mind if the thing's beat, right? If it's seen some life, and this has got checking all over it. It's got a few chips and stuff out of it. The neck's a lot cleaner than it was when I bought it. It was filthy, but it's still really worn. Okay, and that's worn and a bit grubby as well. It's got some dings and stuff. But what you're doing is you're looking for the guitar that actually got the sound. And so you just kiss lots and lots of frogs. And if you find one that's got the sound you want, bite the bullet and buy it. Simple.
Rather than just thinking.
So a collector Strat from this period, let's say in Sunburst, that's going to change hands for 25 or 30,000 UK now, which is a lot of bloody money for a gigging musician.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's hard bloody.
And you're taking an instrument worth 25 grand on stage. It could get stolen, knocked over.
But if you found one, for example, that's been properly refinished, not in goop, and it's had a bit of work done to it, and maybe one of the pickups has failed. I mean, this pickup's failed. I had to have this rewound years ago, right? By the way, they always fail for the same reason. Player's sweat creeps, wicks down the side of the magnet, gets inside the coil, and is corrosive, and very easy for it to just eat away at the very, very thin lacquer on the wiring inside. So usually these pickups fail right inside, where it's really hard to repair them, which is why there's so many rewinds. But that kind of stuff, and then maybe you can still pick up a Strat with those kind of credentials for, it's still going to cost you money, but maybe eight, maybe 10. It's still a lot of money, but it's half as much, and you'll get a thing that sounds like the dog's bollocks.
Yeah. And so that's really worth that then becomes like a viable option for because if you're thinking about it, some of these Del Wilson Fender, when we had Brian over on the last video, Brian said that some of those Del Wilsons he owns, they're like 9,000, 10,000 pounds, almost the same price as an original. Another interesting thing which I always I'm interested in is the nut width.
Yeah.
So a lot of these nut widths, I mean, we mentioned this one. This is around just
42,
just under 42, just near 42. This is actually more like 41 millimeters. So there is a 1 millimeter difference, which you may say, oh, that's nothing, but actually
it's enormous.
It's enormous when
that's much more typical. Yeah. This feels like a Strat neck, 62, 63 Strat neck. Feels like it. This has always felt unusual and clubby to me.
Yeah.
All the Strat players who play this, they put it in the house and go, it's big.
Yeah. The thing with Fenders though, they start at 41, but they go up quick.
Yeah, they do.
So they don't stay narrow like a lot of these Japanese guitars of the 60s. They were really narrow sort of broom handles. These actually do kind of taper up, so they get very nice around here.
Yeah.
The 5th fret.
Of course, this speaks into what kind of fingers and hands you've got. And I've got quite long fingers with quite big hands. I'm not so good on very narrow guitars. I mean, my Rick 12 strings from '68, which is pretty narrow, and it's got 12 strings on it, and I'm really, really cramped.
Yeah, I don't like narrow nut widths. But on a Strat, I do want to get my thumb over, because a lot of the techniques, a lot of those techniques are with your thumb over the neck, as opposed to like a telly where you're kind of probably more like this. And so you're playing the chords.
I suppose I'm just copying you, and I'm doing what you're doing naturally. I'm a little further. I'm twisted round more than you, but no, not much. But I'm doing that naturally. You're right. You need to be able to do that.
Yeah, on a Strat more than anything. On a Les Paul telly, not so much, because you don't.
And would you do that on an ES 175, for example?
Well, you're saying that. I went to watch the great Jim Mellon perform. He's one of my favourite jazz guitarists ever.
Player.
And that's how he plays. He plays
right over there.
Thumb over there.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah. So he's instead of
Which of course has a dual purpose, because not only is he doing the bass note, but he's also muting the next string.
Yeah, that's right. So but I mean, so I thought, oh, that's that's a kind of a non-legit way of playing jazz chords. But well, if Jim Mullen does it,
it's legit.
It's legit.
It's legit
because he is the dog's. Dogs what's it?
Yeah, the dogs knackers are quite a mention in today's show. Actually.
So apart from that, I mean, what else is there to talk about? This is still got the vibe, man. It's got the vibe.
Well, the main thing is what you're listening to is, for the most part, you're listening to the right kind of pickup windings, and you've got lots of old wood here, and that's a nice sounding Strat.
It's a really beautiful.
Also, shall we share the trick that I just shared with you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to love this one, guys. Okay, if you've got a guitar with a bolt-on neck, there's a guy on YouTube who did this. And if I'm good, I should actually credit him. I've forgotten his name, but he did a video about this. I tried it. This is revelational. I've done it on all my belt neck guitars. I've just done it on Ramon's Navigator Strat here, and lo and behold, it worked first time. I did it on Stuart Robson's Strat this morning as well. You need a screwdriver and 15 seconds. That's all you need, okay? And what you do, with the guitar strung up to pitch, is you undo the 4 neck screws. Just a quarter of a turn, just to loosen them very slightly.
With the strings attached.
Absolutely, with the guitar ready, tuned up, ready to play. Okay? Tension's important. And it's a good idea to undo the 2 nearest the body first, and then the 2 upwards second. And what you're almost certainly going to hear as you undo them is a slight sort of clicking, crunching sound. Okay? I'll come back to what that is in a second. Once you've heard that, and you will probably hear it, if you don't hear it, you'll feel it under the hand that's supporting the guitar. You'll feel it. And then tighten the screws up. I like to tighten the screws back up diagonally. Slightly better practice. Tighten them up nice and tight, hand tight, strong hand tight, right? And then put the screwdriver down, and you have finished. You might need to retune the guitar slightly. And what you're going to hear, the guitar is going to be significantly more resonant. It allows the neck to settle horizontally along into the guitar pocket, increasing the contact area. That's what's happening. And I've done this on all my Charvel Spectrums, on all my Strats, on my Telly, on my Trussart Steelcaster, even my Steelcaster.
So Bob, tell us what's happening on the 30th of this month.
Yeah, Sunday the 30th, upcoming this Sunday. We're all going to be down at the Kempton Guitar Show, Kempton Park Racecourse, just southwest of London. All-day show, opens at 10, closes at 4. We're going to be there. I'm going to be displaying some guitars with David Plews, who's one of the co-authors of the Burst Believers series of books.
I'm going to be hanging out with Darren from Daniel's Guitars.
Yeah, Stuart Robson from Sunday Pickups is going to be there, especially in the early part of the day.
Yeah.
ATB Guitars, which is probably the biggest and best vintage dealer in the UK at the moment, is going to have its usual huge stand. Probably some fantastic instruments on there. Probably substantial coin, but there you go. Lovely things to look at. Our stand that I'll be on with David is going to have a number of my guitars on display. Also, several other quite serious collectors are bringing down some quite nice stuff. I think there's going to be some stuff well worth the trip upstairs to see. And I guess
we'll try and do a Bob Ramon Show from there.
We might if we've got the time and it isn't too noisy. I mean, anyway, we'll be there and doing stuff. There'll be lots of people to meet, and do drop in and make yourselves known to us, as you say. You know what we look like. So
he's a handsome one. More hair.
The decrepit one.
More hair.
But decrepit. So with that, on that note, let's play it out.
3, 4. goodbye from this gentleman.
And it's goodbye from him. Cheers.
Bye.